If you clicked on this video, you're probably aware of the Metal Slug collab recently added to the English version of the game, and it has been over 8 years since its last appearance. Since then, we have gotten many new additions to the game, and today we're going to see how this collab holds up in 2024. But before we get started, I just want to mention how amazing is the support you've been giving us for months now. We are so close to 10k subs, which we will have a special video for, since it is such an incomprehensible milestone for us. I can't believe this is only the beginning, and we got a long journey ahead of us. Thank you all truly for all the support, and it will likely not end anytime soon. We're not going anywhere and won't for the near future. Anyway, before we get to the Ubers themselves, let's see what the stages this collab has to offer. The first pack, Metal Slug Defense, has 3 stages with a total energy cost of 180 and is repeatable up to 4-star difficulty. The first stage, Immortal Alien O'Neill, has 50,000 XP at 6500 score, 1K CPU at 5000, 10,000 XP at 3500, and 1 speed at 500. It costs 30 energy. The second stage, Attack on Huge Hermit, has 1 sniper at 7000 score, 1 reach cat at 5500, 40,000 XP at 3500, and 1 cat CPU at 500. It costs 60 energy. The third and final stage, Jupiter King Convoy, has 1 cat ticket at 7500 score, 150,000 XP at 5500, 1 sniper at 3k, and 1 rare ticket at 500. It costs 90 energy. The stages are very easy, meaning just about everyone will be able to clear them, even at higher star difficulties. The rewards are well worth it too, with 4 cat tickets and rare tickets, a bunch of battle items and a million XP, not to mention 120 cat food and 4 leadership, and all of that just for 720 total energy. The second pack is called Super Metal Slug Defense. It has 1 stage in it for a total energy cost of 100. It is also repeatable up to 4-star difficulty. The first and only stage, Devils on the Doorstep, has 1 treasure radar at 3500 score, 1 cat jobs at 2500, 1 cat ticket at 1500, and 250,000 XP at 500 score. This pack is a step up in difficulty over the previous one, with the enemies having much higher stats, especially in 3-star difficulty, where their base stats are tripled. Do note, every enemy in this stage is traitless, beside HIDO, who is floating, so if you happen to have good anti-traitless, they will help you speed up the stages. Lucky for you, the enemies in this stage don't really have a good pushing power, so you'll probably be able to stall them quite easily. That is probably why the time score required is that low for this stage. Both of these packs have a chance to drop a rare collab unit called HYAKUTARO. By the way guys, I'm not pronouncing the name right, I'm sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Anyways, back to the video. So, HYAKUTARO, with it being a chance on Metal Slug Defense and guaranteed in Super Metal Slug Defense. Like most Collab units, however, this guy is completely worthless. 450 cost with 8k HP at level 30 and a 4.5 second cooldown for a mid-shield is bad, and his 50% chance to survive a lethal strike doesn't save him either. The third pack, Assault Metal Slug, is not yet in the game as I'm running this, and would essentially be a gauntlet featuring many of the collab enemies with pretty high stats, with the first stages being doable for everyone, and the later ones being for players who haven't made it until late mid-game or so. We'll cover this pack more in depth when it comes out, so stay tuned for that. Now that we're done with the stages, let's go over the most exciting part for Cat collab, the limited units. We have a total of 5 Ubers, 2 super rares, and 5 rares to go over. So let's begin with the rares. Mars People, yes, Mars People is the name, is an anti-alien defopper with 9622 HP, 1020 damage with 400 DPS at level 30, 310 standing range, and 990 cost with a 50% chance to weaken aliens for 6.67 seconds. While the weaken duration is very good, a high cost, somewhat low range and single attack hurt it a lot. Its long 11-second cooldown makes it very hard to stack, not to mention it is not a guaranteed weaken. FIO is another anti-alien debuffer with a measly 3910 HP, 1440 damage with 700 DPS at level 30, 330 standing range, and another 990 cost with an 11.2 cooldown and a 29% chance to slow aliens for 2 seconds. This unit is absolute trash and is outclassed by Psychocat in any way possible, with it having lower cost, cooldown, and a lot more health. A more consistent weaken for a longer duration, more speed, higher range. Do I really need to go on? Psycho Cat even has a weakened talent as well as an anti-zombie talent. This unit is straight up F tier. Yora is another anti-alien, but this time we got a DPS unit with 11k HP, 2380 damage with 2400 DPS, area attack, 11.2 second cooldown, 998 cost, and 170 rage with massive damage against aliens. This unit seems great on paper, but in practice it has a really low HP which greatly hurts it due to having a mere 170 rage. It has to get extremely close to its targets in order to actually hit them, and most of the time it's gonna be impossible for him. However, 10k DPS is absolutely no joke. It has some usage against middle-range alien enemies such as Cyberhorn and Nimoy Boar, who it can easily melt. Tamara, as you might have guessed by now, is another anti-alien debuffer with nearly identical stats to FIO, except for the slightly higher 5440 health and lower 300 DPS level 30, with a 30% chance to knock back aliens. Not gonna lie, this unit is just ain't it. Knockback is a pretty subpar ability, especially for aliens, and the horrendous stats make it a very unreliable unit that you can't do much with unless you're in a stage that only has Nimoy Boards and Starboards in it, in which case you still have better options. And finally, for our rares, Marco is an anti-alien debuffer with 4216 HP and 1564 damage with 800 DPS level 30, 330 range, single target, and the same 11.2 second cooldown, 9 speed, and 990 cost. Most of the rares here share for some reason. His ability is a 20% chance to freeze aliens for 2 seconds. This unit is also completely outclassed by Seafarer, who is not only an area attacker with much higher stats, the same cost, better survivability, and a more consistent freeze that lasts longer, while Seafarer does have a much longer cooldown of 19 seconds. Marco's horrible stats don't give him any upper hand whatsoever. Do not use this unit. Moving on to our 2 supers, things don't get much better. SV001 is a generally spammable attacker with 11k HP, 36-38 damage per hit, with 1.7k DPS, 15 speed, 3 knockbacks, a 13.67 second cooldown, and 1365 cost. This guy unfortunately aged extremely poorly, with units like Slapsticks completely destroying it. Slapstick has very similar stats to it, but also has half the cooldown and 1k more DPS at the same level. Not to mention it has a powerful anti-relic niche, which is strong against. Don't believe me? The footage you're watching right now has a level 50 SV001 against the 1-star Star Ocean and an SOL 15 stage, and it struggles greatly. If paired the stage against Housewife or Slapstick, it would have been absolutely decimated. Things get even worse with Alien or Neo, who I don't even know how to begin describing, with 19k HP, 5800 damage per hit with 1462 DPS, 400 range, single target, 2 knockbacks with 10 speed, a 16.87 second cooldown with 1575 cost, and an ability to survive a lethal strike. This unit gets outclassed by SV001 due to having less DPS but for some reason single target. Like, seriously Ponos, why? Anyway, it has a higher cost and cooldown too, and to make up for it, it has 19k HP, but that doesn't help him too since he's still pretty squishy and he can't damage a thing. The extra range doesn't save him too, and gets outshined by a unit that gets outclassed by every modern spammable attacker. Now we're getting to the part you have all been waiting for, the Ubers. They range from pretty damn good to, well, you'll see. Let's start with the worst one and build our way up, and that is Huge Hermit. At level 30, it has 73,000 HP when true form, 7,650 damage with 10k DPS, strong against alien and black, rope immunity, 1 knockback, 166 range, a quick cooldown of 35.6 seconds, and 3,750 cost. On paper, it seems like a pretty solid unit, since it meets the DPS quota for a melee tank with great cooldown and low cost. However, it actually is the worst Uber in the entire game. Yes, you heard me right, the absolute worst. You may ask yourself, well, Mr. Cat, why is that? And you see, it's because of 3 simple reasons. 1. His range is way too low. meaning he struggles heavily to get to the front line. His effective HP is also not high enough to allow him to do something once he actually makes it. In addition, although he has 10k DPS, it is far too rapid to be of major help, especially against a trait that features enemies with plenty of knockbacks. If he had a nuke attack similar to Kai, it would have been much more useful. His target traits, Alien and Black, tend to be highly offensive traits that are hard to tank, especially the Black. Stats he has don't really help him, so he gets completely destroyed easily. He is outclassed by Super Rare Cat that's basically the same stats except for a faster cooldown and way lower cooldown. While Meteor Saw Cat is only effective against aliens, Huge Hermit doesn't work against blacks anyway, and Meteor Saw Cat actually has some superior stats such as DPS. In short, he's an Uber who gets outclassed by Super Rare. Next up, we get Donald Morden, or General Morden in true form. It has 47k HP, 5k DPS, 410 range, attacks every 4.47 seconds, 8 speed, 3 knockbacks, and a 40% chance to knock back aliens as well as resist to them. True form adds great at targeting, but it's still not too useful. Donald is just a pretty bland Uber with fine stats and an ability that is not too useful, especially against the crate full of backliners. It is still a fine pick, especially since the resist makes sure it won't die easily, but with a 2 minutes cooldown he's not a great Uber. HYAKUTARO has 84k HP, 34k damage with 6k DPS, 420 range, 40 speed, 3 knockbacks, and an extremely long 160-second cooldown, with strongest floating as well as a chance to knock back them, and a cheap cost of only 3,525. Please true form this unit if you plan to use it, as its true form provides good stat buffs and nearly half its cost. It is pretty useful, but also pretty bland that can be easily replaced, seeing as it targets loading, one of the most powerful traits in the game due to the sheer amount of counters it has. His stats against loading are great, so it's definitely not a bad pool if you get nothing better, but he's easily replaceable, not too much to say besides that. Next up, we got the new Uber in the banner, Sol Day Rocker. On paper, this guy seems hilariously broken. 91.k HP is a good amount, especially with 9k DPS and massive damage against reds, angels and blacks, which means he has 36k effective DPS against them at 400 range. However, due to one of the weirdest multi-hits I've ever seen on a unit, his third multi-hit literally has a range of 1, meaning 99.9% of the time it's only gonna get 2/3 of his DPS, and that's only if the target is within 300 range of him. You can still pack quite a punch though, since these traits have a lot of melee enemies in them. He also has Colossus Slayer, which gives it some usage for Barons, like Baron Seal, where he can deal decent bit of damage and tank the seal for a bit. He also suffers from a pretty long 112-second cooldown, but it's pretty damn usable. And finally, for the magnum opus of this banner, we got King Jupiter, who had a great unit buff in his true form, Jupiter King. In his true form, he has 137k HP, which is a lot, 460 range, 4.7k DPS, 5 speed, 2 knockbacks, and a slow cooldown of 151 seconds, similarly to many of this Collab's Ubers. He also has a guaranteed level 1 surge between 400-700 range, 50% chance to knock back and slow aliens for 5 seconds, and a guaranteed barrier breaker. Through the surge attack and insanely large health boost, he became an amazing generalist, since the surge effectively doubles his damage, giving him 9.4k DPS from 460 range. Not to mention, it can easily snipe enemies from up to 700 range and do amazing work at transferring Jupiter's status effects, effectively getting rid of Misery Syndrome for good. If you get this kind of rolls, consider yourself blessed. And that was a short overview of the collab and all of the things you should know about it. If you wanna keep seeing videos like this, make sure to subscribe because we aren't going to stop anytime soon.